Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Make sure today you're not going to want to miss the group. You got two options. You can go to daixrp.com to join through the Patreon. It's the cost of a cup of coffee. Or you can join the same group if you'd prefer to go through YouTube. You can go down below any of my videos, click the join button, and then you can join it through YouTube. Today I'm going to go into my crypto watch list, and I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 that might be possible additions to it. Not going to want to miss that. And I'm going to tell you what my thought pattern is on it too. Okay, the market is acting like it wants to do something. We're up to 2.89 trillion. We had gotten down into the 2.7 or so trillion in the market. Then we got this, Brad Garlinghouse with Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business.
Welcome back.
This is good stuff right here.
Let's check crypto prices this morning. Take a look. They're higher across the board. The Securities and Exchange Commission has ended its investigation into crypto exchange Ripple, the latest, of several deregulation actions by the Trump administration in the digital asset sector. Joining me now is the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, back with us. Brad, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
It's great to be back. Nice to see you.
Well, congrats on this move by the SEC. What does this enable you to do at this point?
Look, thank you. Congrats to, I think, the whole industry in a bunch of ways. As you know well, Ripple is really amongst the very first crypto companies to get sued by the SEC. We said then when it started that the SEC was going to be on the wrong side of the law as well as on the wrong side of history. It took longer than we would have liked to kind of prove that out, and more than $150 million of legal bills, but we're thrilled with the ultimate outcome. It allows us to really unlock the U.S. market, which has really been very hostile, with a lot of headwinds in the U.S. market for the whole crypto industry.
Yeah, for sure, and we saw investors react to it, XRP seeing a gain over the last week. But Brad, I want to get your take on what Japanese banks may be preparing to do in terms of adopting XRP. What can you tell us about the growth story at Ripple when you look across the world, overseas markets?
Well, once the United States government filed suit, we really were kind of frozen in the U.S. market. And so about 95% of our customers today, Ripple's customers, are non-U.S. financial institutions. And those are some of the largest financial institutions, ranging from HSBC and BBVA to payment providers you wouldn't necessarily have heard of. Markets like Japan, I think, are still unlocking. The market opportunity here is massive. You have trillions of dollars flowing cross-border globally. It's still largely dominated by the SWIFT network, if you will. And that's architecture, that's a technology architecture that's developed 50 years ago. There's an opportunity to modernize. That takes time, particularly when you have a government in the U.S. kind of combating that innovation. But that's changing now. The Trump effect, if you will, is profound. You're seeing that in asset prices, but you're also going to see that in the adoption of these technologies.
Yeah, and I think, so when you're looking at the growth story then of Ripple, does it still come from overseas, or are you expecting a change in terms of domestic interest in Ripple?
Well, we're definitely already seeing a change in the domestic interest. These 6 weeks after President Trump was elected, we signed more deals in the United States than we had in the previous 6 months. So these are very innovative technologies. I think they're going to play out over 10, even 20 years in terms of how they integrate and rewire the financial infrastructure of the United States. That's across payments. That's across even the settlement of maybe real estate transactions, securities transactions. So I think we're going to see this play out over a long arc. But in the United States is finally unlocked, and I think people are underestimating how big that change is, and you'll see that continue to play out this year.
Yeah. Now, President Trump spoke at the Digital Asset Summit in New York City last week. Here's a clip. Watch.
Pioneers like you will be able to improve our banking and payment system and promote greater privacy, safety, security, and wealth for American consumers and businesses alike. You will unleash an explosion of economic growth, and with the dollar-backed stablecoins, you'll help expand the dominance of the U.S. dollar I can already see that the energy and passion of the crypto community is the kind of spirit that built our country, and it is exciting to watch as you invent the future of finance. It's going to be right here in the USA, the good old USA. Together we will make America the undisputed Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the world.
And the president signed 2 executive orders as part of his pro-crypto agenda, including strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology and establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve and U.S. digital asset stockpile. Brad, give us your outlook and really what those 2 executive orders may do. What else do you need to see in order to see stability and growth out of digital assets?
Well, look, in terms of what else we need to see, I think what the president has already done is, and he has used the expression, promises made, promises delivered. The unlock for U.S. financial institutions is absolutely happening. Banks that were really hesitant and really nervous about touching crypto technologies or even helping their customers, those banks and those financial institutions are leaning in now. And that's a big deal for sure, not just for Ripple, but for the whole industry. So he has certainly lived up, and I think we will see the U.S. finally start to catch up with the leadership we're seeing from other markets around the world, that they've really taken the lead, and we need to invest here and see some of these U.S. companies thrive.
Yeah, and we've spoken with the regulators about this. We spoke with Cynthia Loomis 2 weeks ago and last week with French Hill as they craft the regulatory framework. What's most important to you in terms of the regulation part of this? Let me run this. Cynthia Loomis and French Hill with us just in the last 2 weeks. Here's what they said about regulation. Watch.
Bitcoin is a commodity, so it will be regulated by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Some other cryptocurrencies look more like a security and should fall under the disclosure requirements at the SEC. So part of what we want to do is guide what is a commodity and what is a security and provide that kind of clarity in the law so we can let agencies know who has jurisdiction over what.
In a big developed country like the United States, we already have many, many ways to instantaneously pay for things. And this wouldn't be top of mind, but it will be lower cost in foreign markets. You reduce the cost of foreign exchange, you reduce the cost of fees across borders. And so in some countries where they have an unstable currency, a weak banking system, not a very good payment system, a smartphone app with a digital wallet with a dollar-backed stablecoin is a good way, even at retail, to do a transaction.
Brad, what's most important for the regulators to understand as they create this new framework for digital assets?
Well, look, the good news is people like Congressman Hill, they do understand. They understand how important it is for these technologies to thrive here in the U.S., and they have started to architect bills to help enable that. I very much agree with Senator Loomis. It can't just be executive orders. It needs to be codified with legislative efforts by Congress. We're seeing a lot of forward movement. A stablecoin bill is already going through markup, and I think we'll see that come to a vote in the next 4 to 8 weeks. There's the second one that Senator Loomis also talked about was what we often call a market structure bill, providing clarity that we've been asking for as an industry as to how these technologies, these tokens be regulated. Are they commodities? Are they securities? XRP was deemed to be a commodity or not a security by a federal judge, which is the opposite.
Freudian slip, a commodity, not a security.
Of what the SEC had said. So to see the SEC really combat lawfare and to attack this industry and now have leaders like Senator Loomis and really heroic leadership from Congressman Hill, I think it's going to make all the difference in the world. And I think we're going to see both a market structure bill and a stablecoin bill pass in the next 6 months.
So what does that mean for Ripple?
Well, it means the clarity we have been asking, and Maria, you and I have talked this probably over the years, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times, to get that regulatory clarity so that the customers we engage know they can engage in good faith and to use these technologies without fear of regulators coming in and attacking them. That's a big deal, and that will allow this innovation, allow more job creation, more innovation, and frankly, capital formation here in the United States.
Understood.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I wanted to look at this. Trump meme coin was best performing crypto as of midday Hong Kong time after Trump called it cool on Truth Social. Also wanted to make this clear. Sol leads Bitcoin XRP higher. Futures cheer reports that expected Trump tariffs on April 2nd could be narrower in scope than initially expected. What I've been telling you is this tariff thing, it's making the markets jittery on the front end, but it's going to be a victory in the mid run, in my opinion. And I think you're starting to see some of that. I'm not going to play this video, but the Secretary of President says on April 2nd, U.S. will publish a list of foreign tariffs and demand changes or face American retaliation. But once this negotiation, which is what you're really watching, gets all settled out, this is going to end up being a positive thing. You're already starting to see it. Here's Rolls-Royce planning to shift production to the U.S. to avoid Trump tariffs. You're talking about a boom coming for the United States, folks. Then you got China jumping in.
Sort of forward push by Hong Kong at the moment, a sign that trading and crypto could return to the mainland, which of course would be a huge boost for the market.
That's an interesting question. You know, Hong Kong is always the gateway to the Chinese mainland market, and Hong Kong is always used as the lab for experiments, either in economies or in new industries or new sectors. From what we run regulated exchange, regulated funds in Hong Kong. From our conversations with the regulators, I think in a way they are trying their best to use the one country, two systems as an experiment. If it's successful, I think there is the possibility the mainland China government will reconsider their stance towards the crypto and Web3 industry.
Do you think that's inevitable? Do you think the mainland government will definitely bring crypto back, or it's still a wait and see?
You know, for a government to have a clear message, it takes time. From what I know so far, our conversations with the mainland professionals and related sources, I think they are now looking at the market and see what's going on in other countries, what's happening in Web3 industries, and then they may come up with their response.
Alrighty. Michael Saylor's strategy now owns 2.4% of the entire Bitcoin supply, and we don't hear any of the Bitcoin maxis barking about it, holding a lot of the supply when they're coming after Ripple. That seems to be their, and if you look at the top 10 or so Bitcoin holders, it's a significant amount of the supply that they own, and they all know each other. But that's apparently okay. Now, folks, I've always believed that crypto was a sort of I've always believed crypto was like a financial Manhattan Project. For those of you that don't remember, the Manhattan Project was the highly secretive project to create the atom bomb. And I've always said, if your status as the world reserve currency was on the line, that would be almost as important, if not more important, than the creation of the atom bomb. Listen to this. He's writing gold up to $20,000.
What they need to do.
Now, he's not talking about crypto being the Manhattan Project, but I think it's interesting that he brought up that term, because I've mentioned it a lot of times over the years.
Is significantly devalue the debt. Write gold up to $20,000, put $5 trillion into the TGA, buy back a quarter or more of the treasury market. That's going to be highly inflationary. Debt to GDP will be down. Reinvest that money into some of the things we just talked about, and away we go. That's effectively sort of a one-time write down on a real basis of the treasury market, of the debt against gold, which is, I bring up not as Bitcoin because gold's on the books. They can do that right now, right? In theory, Bitcoin could serve that role, but it's not on the books anywhere, or the rule books as they apply those rule books. So I would do something like that. And then again, whole of government approach. Fed, you're going to do yield curve control for the next 2 years. We're going to cut rates to 50 basis points at the front end and 2.5% at 10-year,
And we're also going to run big deficits to retrain the workforce. And, these types of, you're basically talking about, kind of laying out a 2-year Manhattan Project / wartime initiative. And that's what needs to happen. And it's not happening. And by the way, part of that's because you need to have capital controls within this. You basically, hey, if you own treasuries, you're going to have cash on 30% of this as we buy back whatever we buy back. And then you can invest here, but you can't do this. And the reality is any source of capital controls of that magnitude amount to a de facto end of the dollar's reserve status as it has been structured since 1971. Doesn't mean it's no longer the dollar reserve status. It means the structure is changing back to something pre-71 with some wrinkles, where gold is actually the de facto reserve asset, not treasuries. So,
okay, we're going to go into daixrp.com, and again, go to daixrp.com if you want to join the Patreon. Go, or you can click below this YouTube video, click the join button. We do extended videos. You don't have any commercials. You get to watch the entire video plus the extended stuff with no commercials in the group. Today I've got a lot more, but we're gonna go into my crypto watch list. I should call it my crypto infrastructure watch list, because these are Brad Garlinghouse said a long time ago that he saw possibly scores of digital assets being the ones that come through the gate, and that 99% of crypto would go to zero. I think this regulatory framework is going to solidify that. So I'm focused on the infrastructure plays, and that's what we'll talk about. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.